Hello, I'm Dick Corsell, and this is Community Care Network Connections. Community Care Network is the parent organization of Rutland Mental Health Services and Rutland Community Programs. And for today's show, we're going to be talking about a program of Rutland Community Programs, and that program is Walk Rutland. Joining me today is Wendy Reese. Wendy is the coordinator of the Walk Rutland program, and also Kathy Hudson, and Kathy is a participant in the Walk Rutland program. So this is going to be an opportunity. We've talked a lot on our previous shows about programs under the Rutland Mental Health banner, but this is an opportunity to talk about many of the programs that are under the Rutland Community Programs umbrella, which is a lot of community-based programs like Walk Rutland. So this is an opportunity to talk a little bit more. So I'm going to actually start, Wendy, with you as a coordinator of Walk Rutland to talk a little bit about that program. What is Walk Rutland and how did it get started?
Walk Rutland got started about 4 years ago, and the idea is to improve the cardiovascular disease rates in Rutland County. And so they wanted to create a program that was simple, that was affordable, and easily accessible to the residents. And the 100 miles in a 100-day challenge kicked that off in an attempt to get people moving and active during winter in Rutland County. And the goal is that you walk 1 mile a day for 100 days. And at the end of it, we have prizes for the finishers, and we have drawings and a celebration in Depot Park.
Okay, that's good. So how did the whole concept get started? Obviously, this is part of an initiative. It's a wellness initiative. Where did this idea come from, the 100 days, 100 miles, 100 days challenge?
It's really in response to the cardiovascular disease rates in Rutland County. And my predecessors started it, so I can't give you the exact history of who the person was that really came up with the brainstorm on the idea. It has been in Rutland Area Physical Activity Coalition for, like I said, about 4 years around the Walk Rutland Challenge. And previously, they had done bike programming to get people more physically active and out of their houses, off of the couches. And that's what we continue to do today, is to reach out to people who haven't been physically active, or they're not as physically active as they could be, that would benefit their health. And so this is, Walk Rutland is a program that it doesn't matter what your age is, it doesn't matter what your weight or your gender or your income, everybody can put on a pair of shoes and go for a walk.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about some of the benefits of walking. That's obviously this program is focused on that. There are many ways to get exercise. This
Right.
Walking obviously is one that you just said is something that most people can engage in as a level of activity. Talk a little bit about the benefits of walking and one of the things that you try to stress with walking in a program like Walk Rutland.
Right. In the past, we have really focused on the physical benefits of it. So anytime that you're walking, you're doing a weight-bearing exercise, which is good for the bones, it's good for the stamina, it's good for your energy level. It helps people to sleep better, and of course it helps you lose weight. It regulates the blood sugar, which helps with prevent diabetes or decrease diabetes, especially type 2 diabetes. It also helps with coronary heart disease because it's making the heart and the lungs work better. So it's getting that fat out of there, it's making the heart and lungs exercise along with the vascular system. In addition to that, this year what we're really focusing is, because we are a program of CCNs, that we want to focus on the mental health benefits of walking. That getting outside helps to improve mood, it helps you to clear your mind, and they know that it also helps to improve sleep. And people who go outside and walk tend to walk more and walk farther than the people who are doing it inside, say at a track or on a treadmill or inside of a building. So even though we have some challenging issues with weather here in Rutland County, just getting out and doing that 1 mile can play a huge role on your mental health as well as the physical health.
And that's an important consideration, in particular in Vermont, when we have these seasons of darkness and not a lot of light. And I know a lot of people, we've talked about in previous shows, are affected by seasonal affective disorder and even just mild blues in the winter. How does walking, Wendy, compare to other types of exercise? Because many people engage in a variety of exercise, certainly in the summer months, biking, swimming, running, playing tennis, whatever. How does walking compare with other exercises?
Walking is excellent for all levels of physical ability. It's a great gateway for people who have not been physically active because it's very gentle and you can take it at your own pace. So you can walk as slow or as fast as you need to. So somebody who's wanting to train for a marathon, if they haven't been doing anything, walking is a great way to start that and incorporate the running in with the walking. With Walk Rutland, we are solely focused on walking because it is so accessible to everybody. And it is something that you can start out at just 1.5 miles an hour, which is about what they start cardiovascular patients at. So if you've had any kind of coronary disease or incidents, when they start the therapy, they're starting them walking very, very slowly and building them up. So as you're improving your stamina, as you're improving your walking, you may incorporate more miles or you may start walking a little bit faster.
Okay, I'm going to switch now to Kathy and talk a little bit about how you got involved in this Walk Rutland Challenge. How did that happen for you?
I had heard of it last year, just kind of in passing, and didn't pay too much attention to it. And then back, I guess in the fall, I saw an article in Rutland magazine that included an article on the Walk Rutland program, the 100 miles, 100 days, and it had little walking maps, and it's like, oh, I can do this, you know. I've been trying to get a little more active. I have been a couch potato for about 35 years. 35 years and 100 pounds, and I used to walk a lot. That was how I got around, and I moved to Vermont, and that just stopped. But you were talking about the health issues, and I can tell you that personally my blood pressure has gone down just walking a mile a day for the last however many weeks it's been. I think we're, day 35 or 6 or something now. You know, and that's doing nothing. That's taking a walk every day. And I've never had a blood pressure problem, but it has been rising over the years. And my last medical checkup, it was down to normal for me. And for somebody at my weight and my lack of physical activity, that was a huge, huge wake-up call for me, telling me that I was finally doing something right, you know, so.
So how do you motivate yourself in the winter? You obviously started this in the fall, and this winter we've had more winter weather than we did certainly last year. How do you keep yourself motivated in the winter, and how do you deal with the vagaries of winter weather, and some days with sleet?
It's been challenging. It's been challenging. I live on the western side of the county, so you know, we're not at the higher elevation that here in Rutland or, you know, maybe out where Wendy is. So what we've gotten is a lot of snow. We haven't gotten a lot of sleet and rain. And fortunately, snow can be moved out of the way, you know. But it's been real challenging. The wind this winter, Wendy can tell you that the wind this winter has been hard on me because I tend to do things like to forget to bring a scarf or a hat. And I just grumble the whole way. But I keep going, you know, I force myself to keep going. And I had forgotten that walking used to be my best thinking time. When I was younger, if I had a problem, I would walk it off. And I'm finding now that I'm enjoying that private time in my head, you know, and just thinking things through or thinking about nothing. And that has made facing the cold and the snow worth it, big time. It just has made a difference in me, I think. I feel saner this winter. Maybe that is it, you know.
Kathy had a goal that she didn't share with us when she signed up for the challenge, but she wanted to lose the weight, and she decided to journal about her experience and create a blog for people. And so she shares this almost on a daily basis. She's pretty much updating that blog, and they're very short, inspirational, and humorous, and sometimes really poignant experiences of what it's like to be walking and those small little successes that now I'm ready to walk more than a mile. And it has helped me a lot because this is my first winter in Vermont, and I moved here from Phoenix, Arizona. So it couldn't be more when you were saying, how do you get motivated in the winter? It's been an incredible experience to see how do you overcome those challenges when that wind is coming. But like Kathy said, it is one of the most beneficial times to get out, and I had traditionally been a headphone person that I have to listen to music to keep moving, and I have found that as this challenge progresses, I turn the music off and just spend the time meditating. So it becomes an act of meditation. Being out in the forest is a beautiful place to be able to do that.
Absolutely. Do you, Kathy, do you walk with another person, or do you primarily, are you solo?
Most of the time I'm by myself. Occasionally I'll have a friend with me, and now and then I'll have a dog or something to walk with me. But most of the time I'm by myself. And right now that suits me. You know, it would be nice to, it is nice to walk with somebody and have a conversation, and it might be nice to walk in a group. But it's not necessary. Walking is a nice solo activity. You know, it's free. All you need is a decent pair of shoes, you know, and you can walk in anything. That's why they make umbrellas and scarves and hats, and we'll see what the summer brings, but you know, then I'll break out the bug guard. So.
How when you first started, you said you had been physically inactive, or you had been a couch potato, I think, as you described yourself. How did you begin? What did you just start out with? I said, I'm going to do maybe 15 minutes, or how did you start this whole initiative?
I did was before the start date, which was, I think, like January 21st. For a couple weeks before that, a friend and I would just go for a walk, you know, just kind of work myself up to it, you know, and maybe walk for 10 minutes. You know, or maybe walk for 15 minutes, or maybe walk the 1.5 miles, whatever I felt like doing at that time. And I feel that kind of got me into a good habit. You know, I was not, I'm a procrastinator by nature. And when I don't like something, it's also very easy for me to quit. You know, so I think I just got myself in the right state of mind to start looking forward to doing it again. You know, because as I said, I was always a walker. When I was younger, I was always a walker. You know, it was nothing for me to walk 10 miles in a day just to go for a walk. But that was a long time ago. Yeah.
Well, let's ask Wendy. Kathy obviously had a period of activity, decided to take the challenge and get walking, and has seen some significant benefits from doing this. And obviously that would, I would imagine, reinforce her desire to continue this for the rest of your life, as long as you can. If for somebody that has not been active, and there are many people, I would imagine, in Kathy's situation, who have every intention of being active because they know it's good for your health, and if you can do it, it is something to do. And they may be not wanting necessarily to join a formal walking club or a formal health club. How do you begin doing something like Walk Rutland or getting yourself active when you've had a long period of inactivity?
It's very, very important to listen to the body and to know, like Kathy said, whatever I felt like I could do in that day or what felt right. And so for a period of time, we encourage people to do 1 mile a day during our challenge. However, if you go out and you could do 10 minutes, and then the next time you go out and you do 15 minutes, or even smaller increments in that. One of the things that I encourage people to do is, if you don't have time, and I realize that most everybody here has very, very busy schedules, to take 10-minute breaks or to take 4 5-minute breaks during the day so that they get up out of their office or away from their desk and just go for a 5-minute walk. And over the course of the day, if you did that before you went to work, if you did it twice during work, and then once when you got home, you have your mile, which is very simple to do. And then you can start expanding on that. And what we find is that even with the people who are more physically active, that as they start incorporating that in more and more, they want to do more and more. And so it becomes, the reward is how you feel at the end of that walk. And we use two different methods. We have a paper tracking log where people log their miles. And then we also we use the American Heart Association's online tracker. And what that does is when you punch those numbers in, or when you write your miles in, you're reinforcing what you've already done. And as you start to see those miles add up over the period of time, that encourages you to keep going. It's a lot harder. And I remind people to be very compassionate with themselves. Some days are just easier than others. And so if you have a day that was particularly busy, or if the weather just really didn't cooperate, or if you're unfortunate and become ill for a couple of days, it's okay if you miss those. Just remember to get back on it when you can and take it small steps. And the muscles have amazing memory. So whatever you get to that point, and then you have to take a period of time off, going back and getting to where you were doesn't take as long as when you first started. So it's a much faster process, and you can be back up and running where you were in no time.
Well, let me ask you, because you had mentioned increments of walking. What's the physiological aspect of that in terms of how much exercise do you need to have in a consecutive period? In other words, is it better to do a half an hour of walking than it is to do 3 10-minute segments? What is it with walking? Because the busyness, for example, somebody may have a 15-minute break, so they may have 10 minutes that they say, I can go out and walk, but they think, oh, geez, that really isn't enough to be of any benefit, is it? So maybe I won't. What are the physiological aspects of incremental walking?
Any movement is better than no movement. That's the bottom line. As far as weight loss is concerned, it's important to be moving. That's the number one thing. And then as you are able to bring those closer together and to expand them so that you're walking for a longer period of time. Physiologically, it takes a certain period of time for the body to kick into a mode where it's starting to burn the fat versus just the energy that's in the muscles. However, doing something is just as important. And what we're finding is that there is, even more than the physiological aspect of weight loss, there's a psychological aspect to it. So all of the things that become a trigger to you if you're trying to lose weight, replacing that action after the trigger and getting an equal reward, but from a healthier standpoint, is very important. So if weight loss, for example, when you're bored, you go to the refrigerator and take something out to eat, and you find that you're bored while you're watching TV at night, then during the commercial break, get up and go walk around the house. That's going to be more as beneficial as getting up and going to the refrigerator, more beneficial. So it's whatever people can do. We want to encourage people to start small and build on those successes. And then as you feel like you're ready, you can incorporate more and more, depending on what your goal is.
Well, Kathy, let's talk a little bit about some of the obstacles, because I would imagine that getting back into a physical activity regimen after having a period of inactivity, as long as you've said you had, presents itself with some challenges.
It does.
The whole motivation aspect, the getting, the getting going whenever you happen to exercise, whether it's morning, afternoon, or evening, whatever. What have been some of the obstacles that you faced, and how have you mentally overcome those obstacles to stick with this?
One of the big things for me is the frustration of knowing that I am not physically fit enough to be what I was before. To not be able to just go like a wind-up toy like I used to. It's accepting the fact that I don't have the physical stamina anymore. I have to deal with my weight issues in order to progress to, a much healthier, much more active person. And that's on me to do. That those obstacles are mine. There's nothing anybody else can do. I have to deal with that. One of the ways that I started out dealing with that is with that blog. I need to be accountable to somebody that's not me, you know, because I can say, you know, I'll do it tomorrow. And I was really surprised that anybody was actually reading the blog. I did it more for me. That was like a personal diary. Just the act of doing it, writing it down, making my thoughts sort of clear, at least to myself, and then being able to walk away from it and the next day do it again. I needed that pattern and I needed that routine. And then I got an email from Wendy saying, you know, oh, I like something that I wrote or something. It's like, oh, I better look at this. And then I looked at the blog and 28 people had read it. And I don't know who, you know, I don't know why, but I try to maintain the habit of writing it because I have to account for my actions. I have to take that walk in order to be able to write about that walk. And for about a week I didn't blog and I got a phone call so, saying, you're still doing this, aren't you? And that has helped. I mean, it's a little thing. It's just a little thing. For me, I need the accountability. And I need it to be to somebody who's not me. You know, even if the not me is just a piece of paper or a couple of lines written in the computer. You know, if I don't do it, I know.
Well, let me ask you, the Walk Rutland Challenge ends, I'm assuming, probably the end of April,
End of April,
thereabouts. Okay. So how, Kathy, are you going to keep this going?
I
how
will
are
keep
you
it
going
going.
to? I have no doubt you will. How are you going to do that? How are you going to mentally get yourself when there are no challenges exist in terms of a formal Walk Rutland type?
I have goals. Okay, over the last 6 weeks or whatever it is, these goals are kind of brewing in my brain. I want to hike this summer. I can't hike. I can't walk up the hill outside my house, you know, right now. But I want to, you know. I'm not saying I want to climb mountains and go up Mount Mansfield or something, but I want to get out. I want to enjoy this beautiful state, you know, and not from a car window or not from a picnic table, you know. So that is my goal. I need to keep walking if I'm going to climb those hills. You know, it's as simple as that. And to climb those hills, I need to carry my own pack with me, you know. So that is another step, pardon me, but it's another part of the step. I just need to keep going. And, you know, my blog will end at that 100 days, and I don't know what'll happen after that, but I will keep walking.
Now, Wendy, you had mentioned, obviously, with Kathy's blog and also the American Heart Association's website, was an interesting article just recently in the Wall Street Journal about apps that are being used, some really cool ones for purposes of walking, running. Just they're fascinating how people are incorporating technology and the motivation and the tracking of your success and the outlining of routes and things. How have you incorporated that into any of the Walk Rutland challenge, or is that something in the future you might be looking at in terms of using technology for purposes of both motivating, but also keeping track of the data for individuals like Kathy to have some really firm data?
We had looked at trying to incorporate some of the apps with the smartphone in this challenge, and what we got a lot of feedback that some of our walkers don't even have internet, let alone smartphones. So it wasn't a viable option for them. So across the board, it was a very difficult thing for us to incorporate. We have about 80 out of our 350 walkers that are using the online tracking system, and we've gotten some pretty good feedback on that. And one of the nice things about that tracking system is that you can map your walk. So that is on the National American Heart Association website. So if anybody from the country comes into Rutland area and says, I want to go for a walk in Chittenden, they can pull up the zip code and see what's in there. And so we're encouraging our walkers to also post their maps on there, what their paths are. I have used an app for a number of years in doing marathon trainings called Map My Run, and it's wonderful. And even on my walks now, even though I'm using the Heart Association tracker, it's on my phone, so I never leave for one of my walks without the phone, partially for a safety issue because I'm walking outside, but also because it uses GPS to track where I'm going, and I have an exact amount of mileage, and I know the elevations, which for me is another level of accountability that really helps.
Yeah, that's great. I can see how that could be incorporated into this for those people that have the,
Right.
not just having the technology, but many areas in Vermont do not have the coverage, or you're
Right.
walking in a rural area or a mountainous area, you may not have that. But what's next for Walk Rutland? I mean, this is going to end, at least the challenge, at the end of April. How do you keep this enthusiasm for people like Kathy going with this type of a program? What's next? What are some of the other things that you're looking at doing?
Well, we are already planning ahead for our next challenge, and that will start in the summer, and then we'll have another challenge in the fall. So traditionally, we have done the 100 miles in 100 days, and with select groups, we have done a smaller challenge in the summer. We are now going to pretty much have challenges all year long for people in Rutland County that are in the mindset that they're ready to take that first step, pun intended, to getting healthy. So our next challenge is really going to be focused around walking and behavior modification. So we're going to add another layer to this whole process of how do we overcome the mountain of whatever that is. So weight loss or stop smoking. So we have a couple of initiatives that we're looking at specifically to incorporate in our next challenge, and then also working with taking our 100-mile walkers now and encouraging them to participate in some of the organized walks over the spring and summer.
That's really great. Now, how can people find out more about the Walk Rutland program? How do they get in touch with you?
They can visit our website, www.walkrutland.com, or they can call us at 775-4199. And yeah, we also are on Facebook and Twitter for Walk Rutland. If they just type it into either of those places, they'll find us.
And in the last minute or two, any plans to incorporate youth in this? Because obviously the earlier that a physical activity regimen begins, the better, and the more lifelong likelihood it'll be established as a lifelong practice.
This 100-mile challenge is the first time that we have allowed youth to participate, and we do have youth participating. So we're hoping to continue to expand on that and grow that area, because it is very important, and we recognize that childhood obesity is an enormous problem, not only in Rutland County, but nationwide.
Yeah, and this is a great opportunity. Well, it's great to hear about a program like this, because you said this is something that if you have a good pair of shoes and you have the willingness to do, you can participate, and the benefits can be quite striking and quite immediate. And despite the challenges of living in a state where there are climate issues with respect to some unseasonable weather, it sounds like, Kathy, you found ways to overcome that just by your motivation. Adds to the adventure, and also obviously you are reaping some pretty significant benefits. So I think you'll be a model for others who may be watching at home and saying, I really should get off this couch and get motivated. So I think it's important that that someone like you is talking about how this has really benefited you. So I want to thank both of you. Wendy Reese, who's the coordinator of Walk Rutland, which is a program of Rutland Community Programs, Community Care Network, and Kathy Hudson, who is a participant in the 100 miles and 100-day challenge for Walk Rutland. And congratulations to you, Kathy, for doing this. It's a great benefit, and I think you'll serve as an inspiration to others who may be thinking about taking up this challenge. So, and you can get in touch again with Walk Rutland at walkrutland.com. And you're also on Facebook and Twitter.
Yes.
So thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
I'm Dick Corsell, and you have been watching Community Care Network Connections.